All right, hello, rockers and rollers. It's the Meister from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am beside myself with excitement today. I am chatting with a true rock and roll legend. I'm talking, of course, about the one and only Mr. Greg T. Walker of T Wolf and, of course, of the legendary Blackfoot. Mr. Walker, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just great. Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you. Very excited to chat with you and very, very excited about the new album, T Wolf. You guys have been around for a little while, but this is your first album, first full-length album.
Correct. Yeah.
Was released a month ago tomorrow on
Hmm.
Cleopatra Records. And I have to say, this album kicks ass. It is phenomenal. I cannot stop listening to it since I got a copy of it. It's incredible. I mean, I was
Thank you.
blown away. And one thing I really love about it is, it blends, that southern rock that you're known for, and that hard rock with some
Hmm.
really cool Texas blues and heavy blues, and it's such a great album. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really loving it. Sorry, I know that wasn't a question, but
I know.
but
No.
but I just wanted to tell you how much I've been enjoying this album, and of course, working with Lance Lopez, who's an amazing guitar player, an amazing guy. Super.
Hmm.
I interviewed him last year. What a just down to earth, fun-loving human being. What a cool guy. So I guess that's my, like I said, the Two Wolf's been around for a little while, but Lance is newer to the fold. How did you and Lance get involved together? How did you know him from the past? How did you get involved with him?
Yeah, I formed the band in 2015. Lance was the first guitar player,
Mm,
and it didn't last very long because he already had his solo stuff going,
yeah.
had a whole bunch of dates coming up. So then I brought Chris Bell into the fold. I knew him from previous, and same thing with him, busy. He left. So we went three piece, me, Brad Sayer, and Greg Thompson. Actually, Tom Curiel from Johnny Winter's band.
Oh yeah.
Then he was replaced by Greg Thompson. So we stayed three piece for about 3 or 4 years. And then I got Chris and Lance both back at the same time. And that was my dream. That was the
Nice.
dream band. Two phenomenal vocalists and players in the same band at the same time. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah.
It
Nice.
is that simple. It just all the cards fell into place, and here we are in 2025 with a brand new record out.
Yeah. Perfect. That's great. I guess that's a question I have is what made you decide to do an album now? I mean, like you said, I mean, the band's been around for 10 years.
Mhm.
Why did it take so long? And I don't mean to sound this to sound like a criticism in any way, but yeah, why did it take
No,
so long to put an album out? I mean, I know you guys were doing, it was a live band for a long time. But yeah,
yeah,
what made you
and we
decide to
did
do an album?
we did some recording in the 2017, 18. We would go in and do 4 or 5 tracks at a time. But then when Chris and Lance both got into the band at the same time, we started all over again.
Mm,
We went to a different studio, and we weren't sure how many tracks we would wind up with, but the goal was to do a full length album. So we did 4 tracks, did four more, then four more. So all of a sudden we've got 12. And we narrowed it down to 11. So we have one left over
oh,
and a
okay.
ton of ideas for the next one. So yeah, it was a long time coming, but finally it came out June 6th this year.
Yeah.
And also just got a note from Cleopatra Records Thursday. They approved to go ahead and release vinyl.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, because everybody said, I want to buy it, but I want vinyl.
Yeah.
So Cleopatra was waiting to find out how the CDs would go first in terms of sales. And if it did good, then they would do the vinyl. I guess it's doing okay. I haven't seen numbers,
Okay.
but Thursday they approved it. So I don't know what the duplication time is for vinyl. I'm guessing 8 to 12 weeks normally, or 10 to 12 more likely, unless they've got a particular duplicator they use a lot. Maybe they can kind of sneak theirs in under the radar and get it done quicker.
Right. Yeah.
Because yeah, we're really excited about the vinyl.
Yeah. Well, that's really exciting news for me. I'm a vinyl
Mm.
junkie. So, yeah, I will. In fact, I think right after this interview, I'm going to jump on the Cleopatra website and see if they're doing pre-orders yet. So, uh,
Yeah, that's what I have with the CDs. A friend of mine posted on Facebook in Daytona, and I called him and I said, "Where did you get that?" And he said, "Cleopatra. I ordered it." He had a picture holding the CD in his hand, and he bought two of them.
nice.
And he said, "I bought one for Rick Derringer because they're neighbors." And
Oh,
Rick and I,
wow.
way, way back, 70s. And yeah, a few days later, Rick was gone. But
Yeah.
the
That
last thing he did is he listened to that CD
really. Oh,
all
that's
the way through. And his wife, bless her heart, so that's the last thing he did. He listened to the whole album because he's real excited because we've been friends all those years.
wow.
And then 2 hours later, he was gone.
Wow.
Anyway, Cleopatra was selling them if you direct ordered, and I didn't even know they were duplicated. I didn't get mine till 2 weeks ago. I finally sent me six in the mail. And went, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice cover. Glad I got to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is always funny. I've had that happen a few times where I've been interviewing a musician and I'll hold up the album and they're like, I don't even have a copy of that. Like, where did you get that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, I pre-ordered it. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's funny. It's weird how the industry works and has changed and hasn't changed as well. I mean, you know that better than I do, but
Oh my
uh,
gosh, yeah.
yeah, it's a funny beast. Um, but yeah, I think this album is just fantastic, and I was so excited because I've been watching. I unfortunately have not been able to see you guys live, but I've watched a lot of videos of you guys live over the years on YouTube, and
Hmm.
I just I've been following your career forever, and I was like, wow, this band is just hot. It's just tight. It's just powerful. It's anybody that's into of course into Southern rock or just heavy blues rock is gonna love it. Obviously, if you're a Blackfoot fan, you're going to love it. If you're, Led Zeppelin, any of that style, that heavy blues style,
Yeah,
they're going to love this music. But it's also really fresh too. It doesn't sound, it's not a nostalgia thing. Like it's heavy. It's heavy duty stuff.
yeah. Thing
Yeah.
about Chris and Lance, and I knew this early on, they were huge Blackfoot fans. I mean,
Mm,
that was music to my ears. I'm like, wow, we're on the same page.
yeah.
So when we began recording, our originals, we actually did three Blackfoot covers. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm okay with one, maybe two tops. We have our own music. They said, man, we got to do these. We love these songs. So that was a blessing, really. They were such huge Blackfoot fans. So we have that same uh, get up and go about the music. It's kind of in your face.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart. It's
No,
you
no, it is not.
kind
Yeah.
of, pow, hits you right between the eyes.
Yeah, especially like from right, keep on moving that like that opening track, it starts and doesn't and then that album doesn't let go. Like it just
Yeah, that was one of
hard.
my compositions. That became the single that's out now.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a good song, but it wasn't like a masterpiece. Just simple, straightforward. And that's the first track we recorded. And the guys, man, we love this song. I'm like, really? It's I've written better. And they said, no, we love it. It makes you want to move. So it wound up the single.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great track. And yeah, yeah, I mean that's what I love about this album. Just yeah, it hits hard from the very beginning and just does not let go. It's like a
Really
locomotive.
doesn't stop. And
Yeah, it's great stuff. It's cool. And it's nice to see that it's doing well too, because I mean, yeah, there's a lot of buzz right now on the internet. Like a lot of people are talking about it, which is great, to have this kind of heavy rock, old school rock music doing well. But
yeah, exactly. Hmm.
yeah, because I mean, there's so much music out there. There's so much going on in this world right now. There's just so much drivel, pop drivel, and it's nice to see something like this that really speaks to me for sure, doing well. So I'm excited about it. Is there do you guys are you touring right now, or you got shows lined up to help promote the album?
We have some. We just played a Southern Rock Woodstock last Saturday up in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Nice.
I forgot how beautiful that part of Virginia is. It looks like
Yeah.
the Rocky Mountains. I'd
Yeah.
kind of forgotten that. I'm used to going up 95, but we flew into it to the airport, and I'm like, wow, look at these. I forgot. So we played last Saturday, and we have a show in August at Gallipolis, Ohio. That's also Southern Rock Woodstock.
Oh, okay.
And then a third one in October. I believe that is, I want to say the 4th of October. That's in Maggie Valley, North Carolina.
Well, okay.
And then we've got September 19th in Syracuse, New York.
Cool.
We've got offers from Port St. Lucie, Florida, a couple of others. We're always submitting our name to buyers and festivals. It's just whoever bites first.
Yeah, cool.
We'll have a lot of shows, but we're trying to find a booking agent, pass that around.
Okay.
That's what we need is a booking agent because
Yeah.
it's so much music, as you said, market's flooded,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's not very good, but there's still some great music being put out.
Yeah. Well, and I think the one thing that's a little disheartening, and maybe this has gone on for a long time, but you have the some of these festivals where it's the pay to play, which is bizarre
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
that's the going thing now. I know a guy in particular does that, and I'm like, you paid how many thousands of dollars to open up for this big band?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. You
Yeah.
got to be a millionaire, literally.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
crazy.
it's not $500. It's like tens of thousands sometimes just to get on the show and get a 40 or 45-minute show.
Yeah.
You
That's
pay
insane.
to play. I'm like, I'm different. I play to get paid.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to work.
You're right. Yeah.
But
I
there's
don't.
stuff out there.
Yeah, I thought that was really when I first heard about that several years ago. I thought that was just bizarre. Well, and the thing that's disheartening about that too is that means anybody with a lot of money, regardless of talent, can get on a bill. Um,
Regardless of talent. Yeah.
yeah, which
Hmm.
is yeah, it's not the way it's supposed to work. At least
It's
not in
to the
my world.
highest bidder. That's what
Yeah,
it comes down to.
yeah, that's yeah. I'm old school. I'm not into that. So,
No, me either.
yeah. Um, Well, let's go back in the past a little bit and talk about kind of I'm really curious about how this all started for you. What was the impetus? How did Greg T. Walker get into music in the first place? Did you come from a musical family? Like what drove you to get into this rock and roll world?
My mother bought me a ukulele when I was 5.
Hmm.
And within a couple of weeks, I'm making like 2 finger chords. There's only 4 strings. Then added the third finger. I'm like, pretty good here. And I turned 6, started piano lessons. And by the time I was 10, I had my first band,
Oh
which
wow.
became Blackfoot years later.
Wow.
It was, Ricky Medlock, Jackson Spires, and me. We were called the Rockin' Aces. I've
Nice.
still got the bass drum out in my storage building, and it's a wooden bass drum, and it's got 4 lugs. That's it, with a calfskin head. Didn't
R-
have the new product back then. And
Wow.
so we took a ruler and a pencil and we put the Rockin' Aces. I still got that bass drum.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's a treasure.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything, but it's priceless to me.
Oh yeah.
So we were 10 and we were playing bowling alleys, skating rinks, parking lots of, there was one called Biff Burger. I don't know if that was a national chain or not.
Yeah, I don't.
School auditoriums, cafeterias. And then it just grew. And we got in junior high school years because we all lived very close together. So we could practice all the time. And then we kind of split it off, and one guy left, and 2 of us stuck together. But it was any combination. It was always 2 of the 3 of us in the same band.
Hmm.
And then got in another band in high school, and same thing. That was Jackson, Jackson was the bass player at the time,
Hmm.
and I was playing keyboards.
Oh, really?
And then I became the bass player, and he switched to drums. But we all play drums at one point. Every musician's a drummer, I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
99%. So we got to high school and finished school, and it was time to get serious. So a former band member and a school friend had a band. They were having trouble with a guitar player. We were having trouble with our band with a keyboard player. I said, if we get rid of him, they get rid of him, and we merge, we'll all be in the same band at the same time for the first time ever. With the addition of Charlie Hardred, he was new to the fold.
Okay.
And we got our first gig was a Battle of the Bands with the Second Coming. We were called Hammer, but the semifinals the 2 weeks before, we made it to the last round, but the Second Coming changed their name to the Allman Brothers.
Wow.
We were already friends. We'd known each other several years, and our band was Tangerine, so we called it Hammer. So they let us play, but we couldn't compete for the prize.
Huh.
We did that. We got a residency 6 nights a week for 2 weeks in Gainesville, Florida, and wound up playing there 6 months, 6 nights a week.
Wow.
So at the end of 6 months, we were a good tight band. That's all we did 6 days a week was play, and we rehearsed in the afternoons. Sunday was the only day we had off. So we had that work ethic, and we had to do all covers, and we started sneaking an original in, another one, until we got like 5, then we got 10, and the club owner let us play them. We had to split them up because back then you had to play the top 40.
Yeah.
It's mandated. So you had to play one new song at least every 2 weeks that was current on the radio.
Huh.
So we got into 70. We went to New York City on the promise of a record deal. We got up there. There was no record deal. We're like, now what do we do? So we moved out to New Jersey, and we got way out in the countryside in the mountains, and we started playing a local circuit there. Rock and roll was just blowing up. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And we worked all the time. And then in 71, we had a hiccup, growing pains. And Ricky left and joined Skynyrd. A few months later, something happened with a bass player. They called me. So I went down to Florida, and I joined Skynyrd. And then we did an album with Muscle Shoals
Yeah.
with
Nice.
Gary and Ronnie and Alan. And Billy Powell was a roadie at the time. Imagine that.
Wow.
One
Really?
day we're in the control room, and Billy's out there playing piano, and we're like, "Who? My God, that's Billy!" I mean, he was in the band just like that. What a phenomenal keyboard player.
Oh, yeah. He is amazing.
So, some time went by, and I really missed Blackfoot. So I talked to Ricky, and I said, I think we should leave and get the other two guys back and continue on with Blackfoot. And he said, I agree. So rest was history.
Wow. That
So
is
we
amazing.
17 years all total.
Yeah, that is wild. I didn't realize, I mean, I knew the roots went pretty deep and pretty far back. I didn't realize it was from 10 years of age. That's incredible. That's really cool.
Yeah, and we were serious too.
Yeah. What's I think is interesting too is the name Hammer. Um I remember reading years ago that you guys changed your name from Hammer to Blackfoot because there was another band in California, I think, called Hammer.
Exactly.
And it's funny because they don't
Then we
exist
changed it
anymore.
to Free first after
Oh,
Hammer.
oh yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, All Right Now comes out, and we're like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was Jackson that came up with the name. We were watching Johnny Cash variety show, and it had 4 elders from the Lakota tribe down front. He did that every week. He had a tribe represented.
Yeah, that's right.
Happened to be Lakota that night, and one was from the Blackfoot Nation of the Sioux, Lakota. And Jackson just said, Blackfoot. That's what we can name the band. It's like, bam.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Jackson was Cheyenne, Cherokee, and French. I'm Muskogee Creek, eastern band of the Florida Creek tribe. So it's like, why not? It's
Yeah.
kind of a neutral name that we're neither of from that tribe, and it stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought that was cool that
Hmm.
I mean, you guys, because of the original member, I mean, three of you were of indigenous heritage, so I thought was really cool. But and yeah, and the name, it's perfect. It just it
And just had that. You want to say Blackfoot, like with that fist,
yeah.
just sounded bold. We thought, yeah, and it worked.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's amazing too um that northern Florida, that Jacksonville area and the surrounding area, and just the amount of talent that came out at that time. Like you mentioned, the Allman Brothers. Um, there was of course Blackfoot, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Molly Hatchet, to name a few bands that were coming out of that area. And just was there, I mean, it sounds like you guys all kind of knew each other and there was
We
a
did.
camaraderie. I would,
Casually, music stores, we bump into each other and play in the same little circuit.
yeah.
Um, Wet Willie was farther away, but they were still considered Southern rock. Outlaws were down in Tampa, based
Mm,
out of Tampa. And then what became the Atlanta Rhythm section, those guys were from Florida.
yeah.
They moved, in fact, Robert Nixon and I the two others, we went to the same school together. We weren't great friends. We were casual musician friends, hey, how you doing? But he was a drummer for a band in Jacksonville, and he wound up in ARS.
Mm.
And
Oh,
we remained friends until he passed away. Yeah,
wow.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
I saw a list about a week ago somebody compiled, and I forgot how many people came out of North Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it had mega hits back then, when it was top 40.
Yeah. Did you have at that time in the early 70s, did you have a sense of like how profoundly important the music was like that was coming out of there and that you were part of, or was it just kind of like, well, this is what we do? Um,
Maybe a little bit. We knew there was a wave happening. We
okay.
didn't know to what depth until probably 75, 76. Early on, it was just cool.
Yeah.
We happened to be from the same area so many others came out of. I should have printed out that list. I was shocked how many people and who they played with before. And I go, I remember that guy when I was like 12 was playing in a club band just like we were. It's the youth center, community center. Leon Wilkerson, we were friends since the eighth grade.
Wow.
Dave Lubeck, we were friends since the eighth grade. We were just musician friends. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. That's cool. That's exciting. Yeah, I love the idea of this. And I know, like you said, sometimes you don't really realize the impact until later. Like you kind of look back and go, whoa,
Yeah,
it was a big movement. I just remember I was a young teenager and I used to go and check out records at the library, like vinyl records at the library. And I remember finding one it was a compilation album and it was called Southern Fried Rock and it had
I
Blackfoot
remember
on it.
that.
Yeah, and it just,
Yeah,
I think I had a frying pan with some eggs.
pretty cheesy, the cover, but
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
but
I'll
I
tell you
remember that
a couple of different covers.
yeah, and that really turned me on to I'd heard stuff, from when I was a child and I liked it, but that's when I really got into it, like, oh, this
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah, like, I really dig this. Yeah, that was great. So Blackfoot was, essentially from 1970 with a little hiatus there on until I guess you guys the original band you guys broke up in 85, I think, right? Around 85 is
Yeah, I
not
think we played the last show December in 85.
okay.
And then around February 86, we dissolved all the corporation.
Yeah.
And but Jackson and I still wound up in projects together. We started doing some session work. I mean, what else are you going to do? You've been a musician since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Don't want to go work in a factory. And we just and Charlie, we stayed in touch with him. Charlie lives in Gainesville, so about 15 miles from here. Actually, the other side, probably 65 miles from here.
Okay. Not too far.
And we stay in touch. Charlie comes over about once a year. We go out in the studio and with our current drummer, Rusty Valentine, and we'll play about 10 Blackfoot songs. And I just get chill bumps
Hmm.
because Charlie's playing it just like he did back then on the record. I'm going, oh God, I haven't heard this in all these years. And his flood of memories come back. I get chill bumps just saying that.
Yeah, I'm,
He
yeah,
still plays it. Golly, he's got that magic touch.
yeah,
You give him a Kmart guitar on the cheapest amp made with a no-name brand, and he sounds like a Les Paul through a Marshall.
yeah,
I've watched him do it. I'm like, how do you do that? I got a guitar over here. It was my first guitar. I bought it from Zayre's department store, and it was $69.95.
wow,
So I butchered a steer, and I got $100 for it.
wow,
That's what I paid for. So I bought that and a K amplifier. I
nice.
lost the amp through the year, had an 8-inch speaker. This computer's bigger than that.
Yeah, I was just
I
saying
still
that.
got the guitar and I had it refurbished.
Nice.
It's a 1964, I believe, Conrad.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
it's
You
got a
still have
whammy
that.
bar. I'm like, that's,
That's cool.
I
You
still
still
got my
have that.
very first guitar.
That is cool. Oh, and it's cool that Charlie, like, yeah, there's certain guitar players, like, yeah, no matter what they're playing on, it's that, like you said, that magic touch. It's their tone. Like, you can't,
Tone, yeah.
I mean, I remember,
Fingers.
and I'm not a musician, I'm not a player, but I remember like talking to a friend who is a musician, and he was always blown away by, the late John Sykes that he played on that black
Mm,
Gibson. And he said that he's like, that Gibson is a piece of junk. Like that was the worst guitar they ever made. And he goes, but his tone is incredible. He's like, I don't know how he does that. Yeah, it's
great
cool.
player.
But it's, yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift. Yeah, there's certain people that just have that touch. I mean, I think you do. I think the entire band did. I think that's, I mean, yeah, that was such a special time, I think. And also just the people that were together. I mean, but also, as you said, I mean, you guys were hard working musicians. I mean, you guys worked your asses
Yeah.
off, but you also had that, you were born with that kind of talent, I think. I mean, just it was ingrained into you. And then, just that work ethic that you had, couple that together, of course you guys are going to be huge, which you were. Um, and
Yeah. It was,
unfortunately, the 80s kind of was a weird time, and it did weird,
yeah.
it was, I think it was tricky for, bands that were heavy rock bands in the 80s when it was such a keyboard and it was such a lot of
And
processed music.
MTV,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make us into actors. And I'm like, we're musicians.
Yeah.
We don't want to read a script. We don't want to talk at all. But
Yeah.
it's, getting up there and kind of posing as players and not being natural. And like, I look back on that and I laugh. I go, I look like crap. I don't
Yeah.
normally play like that.
Yeah.
But they
Well,
wanted to embellish everything, just big sensationalism
yeah.
constantly going on.
Yeah.
Big teased hair with some of them. And and then the hair bands that came in then at that time, they all had a monster hit, and it's usually a ballad.
Yeah.
Like went straight to number one. And it's interesting that they were some phenomenal players during those years,
Yeah.
really, and still going today. So the musicianship was certainly there, but the songwriting had changed.
Mm.
It's a whole new breed of music. It was very commercially oriented,
Yeah.
and we were always kind of like that blood and guts in your face, raunchy and raw.
Yeah.
But the ones that went more the commercial side were excellent players. I mean, some of them were real shredders, drummers included. Just a different type of music.
Yeah.
Then we got to the 90s, and I didn't know if we'd ever survive that. That just, wow.
Yeah. The
I
grunge and
don't have a
alternative
prayer
rock.
anymore.
Yeah.
And we finally got through that. And then probably the end of the 90s, that's when everything really shifted to a whole new area of business. It wasn't so much about the talent, it was marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marketing was a
Exactly.
big thing. But you have to do it to a point or you're going to get swallowed up.
Right.
You
Right.
can't fight it.
Yeah, I think that's I it's easy as a fan to kind of romanticize about the industry and what it is, and then
Hmm.
but when you actually talk to musicians and find out, I remember Gary Shea of of Alcatraz told me once that he's like, yeah, he goes, unfortunately, being in a band, 85% of it is business. It's dealing with lawyers.
Oh yeah,
Like 15% is the art, which is
about right.
yeah, which is sad. As a fan, you're hoping that it's like mostly art and then a little bit of business and dealing with lawyers and accountants, but it's really not.
Yeah,
It's a business. So, but I think that's a testament to the talent and the staying power that you have as a musician specifically because you've traversed all those waters and you're still persevering and putting out incredible music now. I mean, as you always have, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, when I like literally, like you said, you got chills, you got goosebumps from, playing with Charlie. That's the way I felt listening to Two
oh
Wolf.
yeah.
I mean, it kind of took my breath away that, as soon as I put that on, because I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, apart from I'd heard live stuff, on online, but when Keep On Moving started up, I'm like, whoa, like, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that opening chord is like bam. There's
yeah,
no build up. It's just that first power chord is like, oh, this may be good.
it's really good. Yeah, and it's, as you said, it's not, yeah, it hits you, and it's not background music. It's you got to sit down. And I mean that music demands you take notice. That's what I love about it. And I think that's what good music is always about. It's not, you can't just, put it on and mow your lawn. It's like, no, you got to sit down and listen to this album because
Yeah,
it's going to grab you by the collar and go, listen to this, buddy. So
yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
yeah, and I think that was the same with Blackfoot. Kind of I mean, you've taken that, but like I said before at the beginning of the interview, that's what I really love about Two Wolf is you've combined, that Southern rock sensibility with this heavy Texas blues, which, Blackfoot did that a little bit, but I think, with Lance in the band now, there's, I mean, it's this magic of two worlds. It's really cool, and I think the writing that you guys have, your writing is fantastic. It's really phenomenal. Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's great. Um,
and plus, Chris and Lance not only are great players, great vocalists. I sang two of my three songs on this record,
yeah, I was
and
gonna say you sing.
I said, when we finished, I said, I'm gonna make you a promise, and I'm gonna stick to it. If I don't kick my butt, but I said, in the future, no more lead singing for me. I am not a lead singer. I'm a bass player that can sing a little. I am not a lead singer, but I did it on two
And
of
you
my three.
and you did it well. I think you did it
So,
really well.
I said from this day forward, if I bring a song to the band, finished, one of you two guys are going to sing it. I mean, I'll do a ooh or an ah, and that's about it, but I'm not going to sing it. And even live, which is easier live because it's loud and you can get the mix to where you don't hear yourself as much.
Hmm.
Gives you a little bit of confidence, or it does me. But even then, I'm glad when they're over.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, let's get back to the rest of the record. Music's good, but vocally, I'm not a singer.
I would argue against that. I think you're a pretty damn good singer. And I would say, I mean, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, obviously, but it seems like playing live, like Great Spirit, you have to sing that, right? You got to sing
Yeah,
that. So,
and I love that one, and
yeah.
that's a special song. My friend Richard Luciano up in Montana um, started that song by himself,
Hmm.
and I say this, I credit him with being the major writer of that song. I came along and I added a couple of parts, I added some additional lyrics and a bridge and stuff like that, but he had the concept, and we had worked that up when I lived in Montana. We said,
Okay.
we're going to record this song one day, and we finally did.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
Traveler, that started with a bass riff.
Oh, really?
And,
Nice.
yeah, but Rich and I write well together, and we didn't know one day our dream would come true that we would get something on an actual record with a barcode and in music stores that sells. I mean, imagine that. That's all we work for.
Yeah.
Dream came true.
That's great. I love it. Yeah, that mentioning the writing. So as far as the band goes, yeah, I'm kind of curious about the writing process for you guys. Does it, you mentioned, the one song starting with a bass riff. Do most of the songs start with a riff, like, a guitar riff, or does it start with lyrics, or kind of how do you guys write?
I think most songs start with a riff
Hmm.
that plants the seed. And, writers typically, they write parts and sometimes they write a few words on a piece of paper, maybe a napkin in a restaurant. And then a week goes by, 6 months go by, and it keeps rolling through your head, and you kind of get a cadence, just go, I wrote something 6 months ago, lyrics, it might work here. That's what happens a lot of the time. You don't really sit down and do music and lyrics at the same time, normally.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll do that once or twice in your life. Just wake up one day and grab a guitar and start playing and singing, and an hour later, it's finished. I've had that happen once.
Yeah.
I'd say once or twice. I had it happen one time. It just something came to me.
What song was that?
We've never recorded it.
Oh, really?
Mm. But I think most, I mean, if you got to go percentage wise, more than half generally start with a riff, a guitar riff, or in my case, a bass. And then you write lyrics to that, or you look in your little songbook and you go, this set of lyrics would fit that rhythm.
Hmm.
Or one of the other guys has lyrics that fit the other guy's guitar part. So sometimes it's a combined effort.
Yeah.
No real theory about it. You can't sit somebody down and say, I'm going to teach you how to be a songwriter.
Yeah.
You either can or you can't. I mean, you're able to do it or not.
Yeah. You can't force that. Yeah. Like you say, yeah, it's
I mean, Jackson Spires wrote songs every day of his life. He
hmm.
had a satchel full of napkins and matchbook covers, anything. He'd just get an idea and just jot it down.
Wow.
And maybe 10 years, and part of that lyric winds up in a song or the
Nice.
title of a song, Lucky Son of a Gun. I said, dang, dude, you throw away more great songs than I'll ever begin mediocre songs. You're like 100 to 1 to me. He's a
Yeah.
very gifted guy.
Yeah, that's cool when I'm always, yeah, I look at awe in at people like that have that kind of, yeah, I've seen that as well. Like, yeah, just they write so much and they have so many ideas and so many cool thoughts, and yeah, they toss a lot of it, and it's like, that
You
could have
say,
been
how'd you do that? And he goes, oh, it's easy. I'm like, if it's easy, everybody would be doing it. Dude,
yeah.
it's not easy. You're gifted.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's a gift. It's definitely a gift. Um, Well, Greg, this has been an absolute honor and a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much. For those of you watching, look in the description below. I've got links to the Two Wolf pages, and go buy their new album, Two Wolf, self-titled album. It's on Cleopatra Records. I think I've got a link in there to Cleopatra as well, so you can purchase the album. Check it out online. I'm sure you can stream it somewhere, but you should buy it because to hell with streaming.
Oh, I've
Buy the
never
album.
done it. I've never done it.
Yeah, buy the physical album if you can. And excited, it's coming out on vinyl. That's great news for me. Yeah, but definitely check this album out. It is badass, and especially if you're an old Blackfoot fan, you're gonna love it. It's incredible. It's phenomenal music. And yeah, just but fresh and new and just really exciting. And like I said before, it'll grab you by the lapels and slam you against the wall in a good way. So
Yeah, I'm a lucky guy to have met and wound up having Chris and Lance in the band. I mean, Rusty and I are the rhythm section, but it's Chris and Lance that they're right there and they got you with their fist.
yeah,
They just pull you in.
yeah.
And yeah, don't forget to, we have our website. It's simply twowolfrocks.com, and we have links on there. to Facebook and Twitter. I've never been on Twitter. I'm not sure what it is, but I hear it's useful.
Yeah, it can be, I suppose. Yeah,
Sounds
no,
to me
it,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
sitting around twiddling your thumbs or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, it is important now.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out the website, Facebook page. All the links are there, and listen to the music. You can listen to it for free, and if you choose to buy the whole record, bless your hearts, we owe you.
Yeah, and you're gonna love it. And then yeah, and if you live in any of the cities that Greg mentioned earlier, check them out on tour. Check them out at these festivals because
Yeah,
you're
of
gonna
course,
get
we hope
something
to have a lot
special.
more. We
Yeah.
hope to go to Europe because we used to do so well in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Loves rock and roll still.
Mm,
The headbangers.
yeah.
Yeah, we toured with AC/DC back in the day in Europe and over here. I mean, we do, 40, 45 days in a row, not just two or three. I mean, that many.
Yeah.
Deep Purple, Who, 45 dates with each of those guys, US and Canada. And we go over to Europe and people like, I love this. The other bands, like, I won't even name them, you can probably guess, but very good bands, but it wasn't rocking like Blackfoot was, especially being from the South.
Yeah.
We were more in your face. We were more rock and not quite as laid back Southern rock.
Yeah.
Europe embraced it. And you'd see these theaters, balconies full, and it looked like the Muppets. You're just sitting there doing like this, hanging over the edge of the balcony. It's funny. What a great time we had. So we want to go back over there too. It's
Nice.
been,
Oh,
a few years since we were in Europe.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Right now, we're glad to be in the great US of A. And we just, had a big celebration. And I hope people remember what it's for.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Words to live by. Well, Greg,
So
thank
look
you
us
again.
up.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate your time. And yeah, like I said, everybody get out there and
Pleasure.
get that album. You're gonna love it. It's awesome. Cheers.
Simply titled To Wolf.
To Wolf. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oops.